Okay, so this is Jeanette and this is Pat, and we're going to be talking about advanced directives in a question and answer format.
Hi. I was advised to fill out a living will, durable power of attorney, or an advance directive, and also it was mentioned a Colts form or format, and I guess I'm not really sure what the difference between all these are. Could you explain them?
Sure. Well, good question, Pat. So the first two is the living will and the advanced directives, and those being one of the same. And so a living will is a legal document in which that you would fill out at home, and or certainly we could do it together, and that would make your wishes known about your life prolonging treatments and what you wish to have happen. Um, it is a packet of information with a couple forms that you'd fill out that I would send home with you today if you wanted, or certainly we could do it here. The second one is a durable power of attorney. Another name for that is called your healthcare proxy. This is somebody that you would designate to make decisions for you if you are unable. So one thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about your healthcare proxy is somebody that could make good judgments or sound judgments, and somebody that would really make um, judgments that are on your behalf, even if their own values or beliefs are contradict what you wish. The last one is the Colts form, and that is a newer form um, found here in Vermont, maybe not just Vermont, but that you would sit down with actually your physician or healthcare provider, and we would fill out that form together. One difference between the Colts form and the living will is that the living will, though it is a legal document, it's not always, um, say, an EMT or healthcare or a emergency happened at home for you, and you had a situation where EMTs would come in and you needed to be resuscitated. The living will form doesn't always, um, hold up to where the EMTs would sustain treatment. Where a Colts form, if you had some sort of identification at that time, they would in fact carry your wishes and not perform the DNR DNI. And we can talk about that a little bit later. Any questions of that?
I think I'm okay. I remember that a little bit. Do I have to have a lawyer to fill out any of these forms?
So no, you don't. With a living will, that's certainly like a packet that I mentioned that you can take home, and you can do that in the comfort of your home. You do need to have two adult witnesses sign after you finish filling it out, and they're not signing to validate what you've written. They're just signing that they're seeing you sign the form, so their witness is just to your signature on the form. Or you can choose to not do the witnesses and just go to your town clerk and have it notarized.
Oh, okay.
So no lawyer is needed. And with the COLSA form, that would just be with your healthcare provider and you. Okay.
Could I ever change them? Could I ever change any of these forms?
Yes, yeah, you can change any of them. And as I should have said earlier, is when you do fill out your living will, it's definitely wise to make copies of it and give it to your healthcare proxy, as well as bringing it into your healthcare provider or your hospital of preference, just so they do have copies of those. And of course, at any time, you can change your living will or COLSA form, and that would just require a new packet of information and just filling that out and just.
So I just actually make a new one.
That's right. You just make a new one. Yep.
Can I have 4 kids.
Yep.
And so if I was going to have one person, could I have all of them involved in making decisions for me, or do I have to have just one do it?
So that's another good question, Pat. So on the living will form, it does say that you need to pick one healthcare proxy or one individual that would make decisions for you. Because as you can imagine, it can become a little sticky if you do pick two and those two people argue about what the best interest for you would be. So you would have to, in fact, pick one, but then you could pick a second one if, in fact, for some reason your first individual was unable for some reason to make those decisions for you.
Okay. So I'd have to, and it doesn't have to be a child. That'll be one of my own children.
Correct. No, it can be anyone that you want as long as they're an adult. And again, they can make good sound decisions. They're making them on your behalf, and their values. They understand you and your values and your wishes.
Can they refuse?
Yep, they sure can refuse. If you ask them to do it, and in fact they don't want to do it. Yep. Yep. So, any other questions?
Not that I can think of right now.
No.
Actually,
So I just want to talk about the COLTA form just a little bit. I don't think I mentioned, so what COLTA stands for, it's Clinician Order for Life-Sustaining Treatments. And just to clarify, that's just another form. It's not, you can do the COLTS form or the living will. But what's nice about the COLTA form, it does have an addition to it and DNR status, so do not resuscitate or do not intubate or, ventilation compressions if you are needing some sort of CPR. And that's something you would sit down with your primary care provider for. But again, the COLTA form carries through all different healthcare settings. So that can be if you're a resident within a nursing home, a hospital, you're in the grocery store, you're in your own home. As long as some sort of identification is on you in forms of a card, a bracelet, a necklace that does identify you as a DNR DNI, then those healthcare providers, per those COLTA forms, will not perform CPR. That's one nice thing. Because the living will, even though it is a legal document, it doesn't quite hold up to the same standards as the COLTA form in an emergency situation, I should say. So any other questions?
If I did the living will,
Yeah.
and then I decided to change it to the COLSA
Yep.
form, does that supersede just because it's dated more recently? I mean, does the most recent dated thing supersede the previous ones? They're always going to
Yep.
use the thing that's most recently dated.
Yep, and I would definitely, I'm 99% sure of that, but let me just call my ethics committee and I will validate that for you and get back to you.
Okay.
But I believe so.
Okay. All right.
So I want to go through this is called Taking Steps. This is actually the Advanced Directive for Living Will booklet. And so in the book I'll let you have the book, and in the page 20, I just want to, it's called the values. 1 second. Hey guys, I'm in the middle. So this will talk about your values, and it's a great questionnaire. So answering questionnaire thing to do very first thing. And if you want to read the first one.
What do you value most about your life? It said one workshop participant suggested that you might list those things that bring you joy.
Right. So this is just thought-provoking. It's going to make you really think about what kinds of things do you want at the end of life, and what kinds of things are important to you. Something went wrong.